Alright, here we are, 2006. Hi, it's Jareeve for the 7th time and the first time in a couple weeks. I hope those who watched the first episode of Snubbed enjoyed it. I put a lot of work into it, and I hope it was insightful for somebody. Anyway, let's dive into Marty's year for the Best Picture show.
If you want something done, then do it yourself. Just take your up and let 'em down off the shelf. Put your muzzle to the grindstone and do it yourself. If you want something done, hop it up, hop it up, hop it up. You've got to do it yourself.
Again, this is Jareeve with the Best Picture show for 2006. For this episode and the ones to follow, I shall not only review the films of the year, but also give some more information on the other awards won for the year. As many of you probably know, this is the first year Martin Scorsese won an Oscar for his direction in The Departed. Forrest Whitaker took home Best Actor for The Last King of Scotland, Helen Mirren won Best Actress for The Queen, Alan Arkin surprised everyone by grabbing Best Supporting Actor for Little Miss Sunshine, and Jennifer Hudson sang her way to Best Supporting Actress in Dreamgirls. The Departed won 4 Oscars, including the big one, but it was Dreamgirls that garnered 8 total nominations without being nominated for Best Picture. Also, a small nod to Guillermo del Toro's film Pan's Labyrinth for winning 3 awards, including Best Art Direction, Cinematography, and Makeup, although not winning Best Foreign Film. Some other films for 2006 include Apocalypto, Blood Diamond, Bobby, Borat, The Breakup, Cars, Casino Royale, Crank, Curious George, The Da Vinci Code, The Devil Wears Prada, 8 Below, Facing the Giants, Failure to Launch, Flags of Our Fathers, Flushed Away, For Your Consideration, The Fountain, Glory Road, The Good Shepherd, Half Nelson, Happy Feet, Hollywoodland, An Inconvenient Truth, Little Children, Man of the Year, Mission Impossible 3, Nacho Libre, Night at the Museum, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, The Pursuit of Happiness, Rocky Balboa, A Scanner Darkly, She's the Man, Superman Returns, We Are Marshall, and X-Men: The Last Stand. And there's plenty more that I could name. With all this in mind, let's see the nominees. Alejandro Inarritu has become one of my favorite directors, per se. Personally, I believe a director can only be considered a true favorite if I've seen the majority of their work. So technically, I can't include Inarritu because so far I've only seen Birdman, The Revenant, and his 2006 film, Babel. This film stars Brad Pitt, Cate Blanchett, Gael Garcia Bernal, Koji Yakusho, and Adriana Barraza. Yet again, we have a multiple storyline film nominated for Best Picture. But this one is pretty cool. The 4 stories take place on 3 separate continents, but are all connected through smaller things. Now this doesn't sound much different from, say, Traffic or The Hours, but it works a lot better than those. Example, Story A has one small connection to Story B, which has a significant connection to Story C, which is super connected to Story D. Yeah, I didn't want to include spoilers. To summarize, the stories follow 2 brothers in Morocco, a married couple traveling in Morocco, a Mexican nanny bringing the children she's watching to her son's wedding, and a rebellious, deaf Japanese girl. From there, everything becomes connected and all deal with different themes. Watch it for yourself, it's quite good, I won't spoil anything. Inarritu's direction is great, and the balancing of the stories is the best I've seen in this series. Everything on a technical level is great, contrasting storylines and using the camera to capture the feeling of the landscape. Gustavo Santaolallos's score is superb, adding depth and feeling to every scene, and won a well-deserved Oscar. But some things don't work as well. Some of the writing is pretty average, nothing special, but doesn't always feel real. Similar to Million Dollar Baby, it at times feels more like a screenplay than real dialogue. And Pitt and Blanchett, while decent, don't have as much depth as they should. I felt the other stories had better writing and acting, and I remembered those characters way better, even though Pitt and Blanchett's storyline is given a significant amount of screen time. Not bad, but a little underwhelming. Other than those small quips, the film is an experience and a good watch, 8 out of 10. Clint does it again. For the third time in 4 years, Mr. Eastwood has a Best Picture nominee. This was a doubled up year for Clint, releasing sister movies, Flags of Our Fathers and our next nominee. Flags of Our Fathers is the story of the American soldiers that raised the flag at Iwo Jima, which is captured in the famous photograph. On the other end, Letters from Iwo Jima detailed the Japanese side of the battle and focuses on Tadamichi Kiribayashi, played by Ken Watanabe. This has got to be one of the most interesting war movies in recent memory, taking a different approach to a now famous engagement. Everything technical is great, capturing the rough, barren landscape that is the island of Iwo Jima. Watanabe is great as the main character, and the rest of the cast is okay, but the focus here is Watanabe. It's hard to judge if the screenplay is particularly good because it's all in Japanese, which I agree is much better than Japanese accented English. On a negative note, the film is way too long, dragging on and adding throwaway scenes. I felt that a third of this movie is filler, probably to capture the feelings and emotions of the fleeting Japanese Empire. But at the same time, I felt it could be done better with less. It can also be a little bland, with no emotion to any of the other characters. By no means is this a bad film. It's intense, historical, and a good watch. It's well worth its nomination. I'd highly recommend. 8 out of 10.
閣下、米国艦隊がサイパンを出ました。ましたか。総員配置につけ。はっ。
This is the 7th Best Picture show I've done, and this is the first true comedy film. A lot of criticism for the Academy comes from ignoring comedy films, and it's quite evident if you take a look at the vast majority of nominees. Of course, when a huge amount of comedies coming out are not very good films, I could see why the genre gets overlooked. But for 2006, a true comedy was nominated, Little Miss Sunshine. The film was directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris, and stars Greg Kinnear, Toni Collette, Steve Carell, Abigail Breslin, Paul Dano, and Best Supporting Actor winner, Alan Arkin. The story is about a family taking a road trip to the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant in their Volkswagen Type 2. Along the way, they all go through a small transition and find out more about themselves and each other. Michael Arndt won a well-deserved Oscar for his original screenplay that brings out the best and worst in each main character. What I mean is that the characters aren't sugar-coated, nor are they demonized. They're just real people. Okay, while a bit cartoonish and eccentric, these characters feel real. The relationships and interactions are what make this movie enjoyable. Also, the dialogue within these interactions and events along the road are hilarious, and I feel most of the scenes aren't meant to give a punchline. The jokes are used as a vehicle for plot progression. Now, I sound really optimistic, but there are some small problems. Again, another good film with small problems. For one, Greg Kinnear, to me, was not as convincing as his co-stars. Arkin is pretty good, Steve Carell and Paul Dano are the standouts, and Abigail Breslin is quite good. Toni Collette is the other main character that isn't as memorable. I don't know why the parents are the weaker characters. Maybe there's a point to that, otherwise it does hurt the film because the parents are a driving force of the movie. These puns are gonna kill me. And there are points in the screenplay that are unintentionally awkward and slow the film down. But not a lot. Overall, a very enjoyable film that is worth watch after watch. 8 out of 10.
She made it to the top of the regionals out there.
I was in second place.
Well, what do you think your chances are?
I think I can win, because some of the other girls, they've been doing it longer, but I practice every day.
You know, good luck.
Not about luck, Frank. Luck is the name losers give to their own failings. It's about wanting to win. Willing yourself to win. You gotta want it better than anybody else.
I do.
Then you're gonna be a winner.
Richard.
It's the truth.
Oh boy. After 3 well-deserving films, we get this. No, Stephen Frears' The Queen is by no means a bad film and is pretty well made. The reason I groan? It's clearly an Oscar movie. Spoiler, this film will probably show up near the end of the video and not as my best picture pick. Helen Mirren portrays the titular character, Queen Elizabeth II, as she navigates the time after Princess Diana of Wales' horrible car accident in 1997. The cast includes Michael Sheen as Prime Minister Tony Blair and James Cromwell as Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Again, a well-made movie, but the biggest problem is, it's bland! I don't care about anyone! And these are real people during real events, and I don't care! Of course you care about the real incident, but this movie is dull! Not that much happens on the surface, and it shows! It was boring, and usually I can handle slow-moving political movies. The film is only 103 minutes, but it felt much longer. I know exactly why it was nominated. It's Oscar bait, and Helen Mirren's performance was praised. Yes, she did do a good job, even though she didn't have much of a character or script to work with. Did she deserve the Oscar? Maybe. It was a pretty average category that year, so I'd give it to her. If you want, check it out. I probably won't watch it again. A generous 6 out of 10.
How nice to see you again, Mr. Blair. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Children must be very proud.
Well, I hope so.
You've 3, haven't you?
That's right.
Oh, how lovely. Such a blessing, children. Please do sit down.
Thank you.
Diane, why don't you remind them who the nominees for Best Picture
I
are?
would be happy to do that, Jack. Thank you very much. Okay, Babel, Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, John Carrick, and Steve Golan, producers. The Departed, Graham King, producer. Letters from Iwo Jima, Clint Eastwood, Steven Spielberg, Robert Lorenz, producers. Little Miss Sunshine, David T. Friendly, Peter Seraph and Mark Turtletop, producers. And finally, The Queen, Andy Harris, Christine Langan, and Tracy Seward, producers.
And the Oscar goes to The Departed. Graham King, producer.
Martin Scorsese calls The Departed the first movie he has ever done with a plot.
He did it. After many years of being snubbed, Martin Scorsese finally won an Oscar. And his film also won the big one. But is it worthy compared to his other works? The Departed stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Ray Winstone, Vera Farmiga, and Alex Baldwin. It's about the Boston Mafia and the police both having moles within each other's organizations. DiCaprio is undercover in Nicholson's gang while Nicholson plants a mole within the police. For any who are wondering, the film is based off of a 2002 Hong Kong film called Infernal Affairs, which I have seen. And to be honest, I prefer Scorsese's version. The film has a great story of twists and turns and keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout. The cast is great, especially Wahlberg in a nominated performance. The reason The Departed is better than Infernal Affairs? I believe it's the ending. I won't say a word, but I appreciated Scorsese's ending much better and felt a closer connection to the characters. But still, check out Infernal Affairs because it's still a great movie. For this film, everything is top-notch and works very well. My one problem is too long. That sounds like some other films this year and in the past, but it's true. It could have been much shorter. Is this enough to hurt the film? And I believe so because this creates a more confusing storyline. You still get too confused to keep up. The payoff is great at the end, and that saves it. A well-deserved 9 out of 10.
Why?
Christ,
Yes,
I mean, a guy
okay.
comes in here against every instinct of privacy, of self-reliance that he has, and what do? What do, huh? You send him off on the street to score smack? Is that what you do? You're f***ing ridiculous. Two pills?
So yes, Scorsese's crime film is worthy of my pick for 2006. Some claim it's weaker than other past works from Scorsese and they would rather have his earlier films win, but I think The Departed is the best of the 2006 nominees. So for only the second time so far, I actually agree with the Academy. Wow. 2006 is a pretty good year with an average score of 7.8 out of 10. And you know what my Oscar bait? It's The Queen. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Some considerations for this great year in film include Children of Men, The Lives of Others, Pan's Labyrinth, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, United 93, Stranger Than Fiction, The Prestige, and V for Vendetta. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. The plan so far is to do 2007 and 2008 next, before returning back to Snubbed. This is Jareeve signing off with The Best Picture Show.